Hello everyone, my name is Kendrick and today I'm just going to be giving you a brief overview of my experience when conducting a literature review and to hopefully provide you with some helpful tips and tricks that you can utilize yourself when you're conducting a literature review of your own. So the first step that you'll want to take when conducting a literature review is that you want to break down your research topic into a series of relevant keywords. The reason for this is that decomposing your topic in this way allows you to more easily search for relevant literature that is directly related to the particular area that you're hoping to review. So an example of how this might look is my topic was radiomics and metastatic prostate cancer. So you'll begin by identifying a series of keywords that are related to your topic and that you're likely to find in the literature. So for example, this might be for radiomics, metastatic, and prostate cancer. And then what you'll do after that is you want to identify synonyms. So words that mean exactly the same thing, but which are also likely to appear in the literature that you don't want to miss in your search. So for example, a synonym for radiomics is texture analysis, radiological features, radiomic features, and textural features. And in doing this, you'll construct a table like the one you see on the screen that you're going to utilize in the subsequent steps to conduct your search. So the second step is to actually use the table that you've created to construct your search. So using the table of keywords and synonyms, you can construct a search string that should return the papers most relevant to your task. So what you want to do is the synonyms, i.e. the columns in your table, should be connected with the OR logical operator and contained within brackets. Keywords, i.e. the rows in your table, should be connected with the AND logical operator, and phrases should be placed in quotation marks. Otherwise, some search engines will automatically assign an AND operator between them, so you want to make sure you're searching for the actual phrase and not just the two words separately. So an example of what your string might look like is if we use the table from the previous slide, you will have radiomics or texture analysis or radiological features or radiomic features, etc., etc. All the synonyms connected with ORs and in brackets. And then because we also want to return searches that have metastatic or metastases and prostate cancer or prostate lesions, we then link those terms with an AND operator. So having created your logical search string, you then want to actually utilize that string to search the scientific databases and find the literature that's relevant to your topic. So the particular databases that you want to search may differ slightly depending on the topic that you're researching, but some of the more common ones that definitely most of the people who'll be watching this video will want to search are PubMed, Scopus, and the Web of Science. These are three of the really big ones. And each of these sites allows you to bulk export all of the returned papers to whatever referencing software that you're using. Now this is important because each of them are going to return duplicate results. So you're going to need to go through and remove the duplicates, and EndNote actually allows you to do this very easily. So at this point in the literature review process, you should have many references in your EndNote library, but they might not all be directly relevant to your particular research topic. Additionally, there might also be a prohibitively large number of them, for example, over 600 or even over 1,000 sometimes. So reading the full text of each of them is going to be too time consuming. So the next step is that each of these references needs to be screened, just the title and the abstract, for relevancy to your particular research area. And what you want to do is when you're doing this screening process, I find that it's helpful to create two new group sets in EndNote to aid in the process. So you can call them includes for relevant references and excludes for irrelevant references. And just as you're going through the screening process, any paper that's not relevant, you simply put in the excludes category. And any paper that is relevant, you put in the includes category. So having removed the irrelevant references by screening the title and the abstract, of the papers. What remains now is the number of articles for which you need to read the full text. Now, it's crucial at this point that you have established criteria specific to your literature review that will determine whether or not a paper is included in your analysis. The reason for this is that if you're conducting a systematic review that you're hoping to publish, you need to have specific reasons for not including these papers in your analysis. Now, these reasons can be documented quite easily using EndNote. I found that when I was conducting my literature review, I simply created additional groups under the includes group set that I was mentioning before. So if we look at the picture on the right there, we have a total includes column, which is just all of the relevant articles that we found by screening the abstract and the title. But then we have shifted articles to the separate categories depending on whether or not they're included in our final analysis. So for example, we have 3 papers in no metastatic prostate cancer, which means those papers didn't have anything related to metastatic prostate cancer. So I wasn't going to include that in my review. Clearly, these categories are going to be specific to whatever literature review you're undertaking, and you'll need to create these categories yourself. But the general idea is you want to document the exact reason you're not including any paper in your final analysis. Having conducted the preceding steps in the literature review process, what you might want to do is then fill in a flowchart like the one you see on the screen there. So this is called a prisma diagram, and essentially what it does is it documents the literature search and inclusion process that you undertook to identify papers that are relevant to your particular research area. If you're hoping to submit a systematic review, for example, you will need to include a prisma diagram with your submission. But even if you're just conducting a general literature review, it's still good to have one of these diagrams ready and filled in. So it starts off with the identification stage, where you're searching the relevant scientific databases like we discussed before, and you also note down exactly how many references you extracted from each of those databases. And then it proceeds to the screening stage, where after having removed the duplicates, how many records did you exclude just by screening the abstract and the title? So in this instance, we've excluded 57 references just by screening the title and abstract, and that leaves us with 57 articles to assess their full text for eligibility for inclusion in our review. Now here is where you want to document the reasons why you did not include any of those 57 articles in your final analysis. So again, for example, 3 of those papers didn't have anything to do with metastatic prostate cancer, so they weren't included for my literature review. 5 of them had no radiomics analysis whatsoever, so of course they weren't included. But again, these criteria need to be specific to whatever review you are conducting. And then what we end up with is the included, so we have 40 studies that were included in the final analysis, and these are the ones that I'll analyze in the final article. Now, just to stress the importance of tabulating the results of the papers as you go, when you're reading the full text articles, I think it's important that you document the important parts of the article that you're reading in a table. So for example, you might want to note down things like the title and publishing information, whether the study was retrospective or prospective in nature, the sample size of the study, as well as particular imaging techniques that were used, for example, PET, CT, multiparametric MRI, and also a brief summary of the results as well. The reason for this is when you're reading potentially hundreds of papers, which is probably how many you're going to go through when you're conducting a literature review, tabulating the key points can aid your memory when you're revisiting the papers that you read weeks or months ago. So I just want to stress that in my experience, it was very important to tabulate the results of the papers, and this definitely helped me in sort of summarizing the key conclusions and getting all the information together in a coherent form to present in the final article. If anyone is interested in further reading and useful references, the Journal of the Medical Library Association provides a step-by-step instruction manual on how to conduct a literature review, but they also provide a custom EndNote style which allows for easy abstract screening as well. So if anyone's interested in that, check out that reference there. Otherwise, the Prisma guidelines on reporting for systematic reviews is a really good reference to read. And if you're interested in also including your own Prisma diagram when you conduct your literature review, definitely check out that reference there. And you can also check out the Prisma website where they have easily downloadable files to get those flow diagrams. But other than that, I just want to thank everyone for listening. And if they have any questions, feel free to either email me or come up to me in person, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks, everyone.